Okay, it's Tuesday morning. That quarterly business review draft is due to your VP at noon. You type the prompt into Copilot, inside of Microsoft Word. You draft a Q3 account review for those strategic accounts, and you include pipeline movement, the executive commentary, and even recommended next steps. But what came back like a project update for someone who's never met your actual chief marketing officer. The bullet points read like any LinkedIn post could have produced. The summary line didn't know which account was at risk and which one had just closed. So you stare at it for a minute, and the meeting was 4 hours away, and that draft that Copilot had produced was unusable. So you close Microsoft Word and you open Claude AI. Now the draft Claude AI return wasn't perfect, but it was yours. It knew the account, it knew the audience, and it knew the numbers. Hi, I'm Charles. I've got 20 years inside Fortune 500 marketing, and I'll tell you the 4 places senior marketers quit Microsoft Copilot for Claude AI, and the 4 routing decisions you make before Tuesday morning hits you again. So stay with me. Easy win. Before we go further, here's the one move you can make today. All right, so open up Claude AI, paste in your last quarterly business review pre-read into a new project. Then paste the prompt you used, the one from Copilot last week, paste that one back in. All right, run it again in Claude AI with all your context loaded. And you'll see in one output what most of your team is paying Copilot to fail out every week. Now, you don't need a procurement ticket to test this. The license your company already paid for stays, just the default app changes. Now, let me tell you why you closed Word in the first place. You've watched the demo, Copilot inside of Microsoft Word, Copilot inside of Excel, Copilot even inside Microsoft Teams. What the demo didn't show you is the procurement review, the InfoSec ticket, and the change management plan, and the 7 teams that had to sign before your IT rep even flipped the switch. That's the environment I operate in, and that's the environment that this video operates from. So here's a part the demo skipped. Microsoft's own data is public. The accuracy scores users give Copilot have dropped from -3 to -24 in just over 2 months. So that means 44% of users who quit said they stopped trusting the answers. And only 36% of paid seats opened the panel in a week. Let me repeat that again. Only 36% of paid seat users have opened up the panel of Microsoft Copilot in a week. So the tool didn't fail you. The tool was not built for the type of work that you actually do. And the people teaching Microsoft Copilot on YouTube have never owned a number that depended on a brand cleared deliverable that has to survive 7 sign-offs. I have. So here are the 4 places the senior marketer routes it out. 1 is the draft. Copilot's strongest claim is writing inside of Microsoft Word, and this is where it breaks for senior marketers. This is anywhere brand voice, an executive audience, or extended visibility actually matters. Copilot writes a draft. It doesn't write your draft, and it can't because it can't see what the deliverable has to survive. This includes a brand review, the legal clearance, sales adaption, or maybe even your chief marketing officer who reads it. The senior move isn't typing prompts into Word, it's routing the draft to wherever the brief lives. And the brief doesn't live inside Microsoft 365. Copilot keeps writing that doesn't matter. The meeting notes, the email reply, the status update. This is anything your reputation rides on, routes somewhere else. And now you can stop sending your leadership a draft that reads like every other VP in the company centered this morning. 2 is the number. Copilot inside Excel can run a pivot, it can format a cell, it can flag a duplicate record, and all that is useful work, but it's not the work that moves your number. And I know what you're thinking, Copilot's inside Excel, surely that's where the financial work belongs. But here's the truth, the pivot table isn't the deliverable. The narrative in front of the number is what matters. It's the one sentence that tells the regional VP why a $50 million opportunity slid 2 quarters. The one paragraph that explains why an account tier shift means pipeline coverage ratio is no longer the headline. Microsoft Copilot does not have your account context. It doesn't have your buying committee map, which is the map of every decision maker, influencer, and blocker on the account that your team is trying to win. It can't tell the story that the data is actually hiding. Now, your pivot tables, those can stay in Copilot. The pipeline narratives, route those to Claude AI. And now you can walk into your CFO meeting with the why behind the number instead of the spreadsheet she could have built herself. If this is the conversation you've been looking for, hit that subscribe button. 3 is the deck. Copilot does live inside PowerPoint, and it can fill a template. It can move the bullets around, it can drop in a chart, and these are useful for status decks or weekly templates or internal updates. These are the decks that nobody remembers in 2 weeks' time. Now, the decks senior marketers actually live on are different. The account strategy deck, the executive readout, the quarterly business review pre-reads. Those decks have to survive a brand template, a legal review, a sales adaptation, and possibly a chief marketing officer sign off, and one final 11:30 p.m. round of edits before a 9 a.m. readout. Copilot's PowerPoint output doesn't survive that chain. Claude AI does, because Claude can be briefed on that whole chain. So now you can ship a quarterly business review pre-read that lands clean the first time instead of bouncing through 3 rounds of brand edits. 4 is the thinking. And this is the one Copilot was never built for. Strategic synthesis. Yeah, say that with me again. Strategic synthesis, framework design, long context, meaning analysis across the deal review, the win-loss data, the sales kickoff agenda, and the board pre-read, all in one window. Copilot's context window, which is the amount of information the model can hold in front of it one time, is tuned for the productivity moments, meaning summarize this email, rewrite this paragraph, drop a chart inside this slide. It's not tuned for a 70-page strategic synthesis you owe your executive leadership on a Friday afternoon ahead of Monday's strategy session. I'll be straight with you. I sit through a stack review every quarter. The marketing tech budget runs into the millions across multiple platforms. And 3 quarters in a row, the only line item I couldn't make a real case for was Copilot. Not because it didn't do anything, but because the work it did wasn't the work my number actually depends on. The senior move isn't asking Copilot to think bigger, it's sending the thinking work somewhere that can hold the full context, and doing that without a procurement ticket. So again, productivity work can stay in Copilot, but let the thinking work go to Claude AI, always without exception. And now you can walk into Monday's strategy session with a deliverable that synthesized your last 40 days of work and not the bullet list Copilot produced from your last meeting transcript. Now imagine this. It's that Tuesday morning again, 8:45. That quarterly business review draft you wrote in Claude landed in your VP's inbox at 7:45 your time. She read it before her coffee. She pings you at 9. It says, "This is the cleanest QBR pre-read I've ever opened. Send me the template." You don't say Claude, you say, "It's the way I brief the deliverable." Now, the Copilot license is still pinned to your Word toolbar. You haven't opened it in a week. The email reply Copilot drafted at 6 this morning was fine, and that's where it belongs. Now, that quarterly business review pre-read, the account tier narrative, the strategic synthesis for Monday's board pre-brief, those came out of one Claude session you ran while your coffee was brewing. 3 deliverables, 1 session. The work your number depends on is in an inbox of 3 people before they even walked into the building. So the version of you that opened Word on Tuesday morning is still pasting the same prompt and waiting for the same generic draft. Every senior marketer who made the 4 routing calls is moving past you. So drop the one prompt you typed into Copilot last week that came back so generic, you opened up Claude AI to redo it. And I'll tell you the routing fix in the comments. So you've routed the work to where it belongs. The next thing the AI bros are going to tell you is that the agents can run all 4 routes on their own. They'll show you the demo, and I'll tell you the seat costs go to 0. I'll tell you why a senior marketer pushes back on that. And that's the video right there. Okay, and this is what nearly 20 years in a room has taught me. So if that's helped, share it with someone who needs it, and I'll see you in the next one.